going out afterwards, and having some libation, maybe for this Halloween, we could all resurrect our costumes, and I just say that because John Miners, he makes Winnie the Pooh.
Who doesn't want to see John Miners in the Winnie the Pooh?
That's not a scary outfit, though. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that was quite a sight seeing John walk in with the Winnie the Pooh into whatever that restaurant is down there. I can't remember. But anyway, yes. All right, thanks, Charlie. All right, so let's welcome our guests, and we're going to do things a little bit differently this morning in terms of honoring an award recipient, but also hearing about the happenings in these times at the fire department as well. So we do have Chief Stein here this morning, and I know somebody else walked in here right before we got started. Chief Wagner here as well. So we got some business to take care of. Not quite up yet. We have our little procedures we have to. We'll get to that. But anyway, welcome. Good to have you here this morning. Unfortunately, our honored guest, firefighter Kevin Gardner, who we do have an award for, had a lot of things going on this morning and was not able to be here this morning. But good to have representation from fire department leadership here to talk to us and get an update on the department. Obviously, that's important. Profound thoughts, Tom Hurlington.
Your turn.
Yep.
Okay, well, I've got a few things today. My first thought is from Billy Graham. He said, when wealth is lost, nothing is lost. When health is lost, something is lost. And when character is lost, all is lost. My second thought is from Thoreau. Be not simply good, but be good for something. And since the football season starts tonight, I thought I'd try and touch on something related to that. I've got a few quotes from Vince Lombardi. He said, people who worked, and he has a lot of quotes. This guy was fairly prolific. People who work together will win, whether it be against complex football defenses or the problems of modern society. And he also said, if you are not fired with enthusiasm, you will be fired with enthusiasm.
Yeah, I think Vince Lombardi and Yogi Berra both had a lot. All right, happy finds and drawings.
All right.
Anybody happy? Everybody have their pins?
Yeah, any happy finds here this morning? All right, Greg?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Tim?
I have a happy drawing, and you're going to get some change. My wife and I had a wonderful trip out to Henderson, Nevada to visit our daughter-in-law and our granddaughter while our son is overseas, and due to come back at the end of the month, by the way.
All right. Okay. Anybody else? I heard a pin find.
I don't have a pin or cash.
Oh, okay. You're on the account.
You want us to be charged 0.01% interest. Like we're earning on savings.
Anybody else? All right, we'll have the chief pull a ticket for us.
Nothing personal. That's 3, 8, 8, 9.
Oh, all right. There you go.
Yeah,
All right, great. So let's cover some business items here before we get to our guest speaker. Charlie mentioned our history with Halloween events and jack-o'-lantern jaunts. The committee has been communicating. The last update that I have, and I know we have 3 of our primary committee members here, was we are going to reach out to Linda and Jolene, who of course are the matriarchs of the event, to make sure we're all on the same sheet of music. I know both on Facebook and to our email accounts. We're getting a few questions. Are we going to have it? People, of course, are hoping that we are, but the reality of the situation may be different. We need to follow up in the next couple days or so, but any updates, Tom, Dennis, and we talked to the ladies again or anything like that? I haven't heard from Einer. I know Einer's on here. I don't know if he's able to pipe in, but we can.
Word that anything's changed.
All right.
I the impression that we're not doing it.
Yeah, I know. The goal was just to make sure that we're all on the same sheet of music before it goes out, and we hear from them saying, "I didn't realize it was a final decision," or something like that. So let's work on that.
I have to comment though.
Yeah.
If any event could be successful, I mean, it's outside.
It is, but
Put it out. I don't understand why.
it is, but it takes we're about 10% of the product, if you will. It takes many organizations and businesses willing to step up and to do displays and get together and do displays and deliver them that day. We know we're not going to be able to do much, if anything, inside the pavilion, so that's going to be very different than what we had in the past. The question is whether or not we would have Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, businesses such as the McGuanago Family Dentistry, McGuanago Animal Hospital, all that, put together the displays that they have, or are we going to have 15 displays and people are going to come through and say, well, geez, that's a lot worse than usually. So
I think you're putting too much on it. People are at work anyway. Our community is hungry for something to do. I'm sorry, I have to make the decision, but I have to voice. There's a lot of us that feel this way. This would be a great way for us to provide something for the community that's really hurting. I don't know. That's all I have to say.
all right, let's talk about that more later. All right, so one thing that does appear we are going to be doing, and this is thinking outside the box, and this is the year to think outside the box in many different ways, is in the last 24 hours, I've exchanged emails both with the chief of the fire department and the chief of police. So I don't know what that means, but anybody interested in doing this job, you get to interact with leaders in the community for sure. But looks like that as part of Fall Fest, we are going to have a beer tent right across the street there in the parking lot of Americana Flower Station. All right, it's not an Americana Flower Station beer tent. It's going to be a Rotary beer tent, and it's 2 weeks from Saturday. And then in coordination with that, looks like we're going to have to permit John Beauchamp and I are we kind of set up a bar and a couple of canopies. That would be the idea there. We're working on who the supplier is going to be. It might be East Troy Brewery. The idea is it is a fundraiser. All proceeds from this will be a fundraiser to go to the local community, to our overall efforts to be determined. So, we don't need 18 people out there for six hours working the event, but more to come on that. And if you aren't working, you come and do it. Again, I don't see this being the opportunity that Balloon Fest is, and we don't have time to go into it now. We have a business meeting coming up, but John Miners introduced to us last week that the village is doing some events, hopefully next summer at Indian Head Park, where potentially could do something similar with hopefully a much larger audience. So that is being worked on for a couple weeks from now. So kind of low-key, low risk, some effort, but hopefully it's a nice day and we can get something out of that. The Fall Fest is the 26th. I don't know if we'll start serving beer at 10 a.m., but 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. is the official time of Fall Fest. And of course, weather has something to do with how successful the overall day is going to be. Upcoming next week, the plan is, and I know we have Rachel here, but I can talk to Sean and such, but we're planning on having an update from the school district and see how things are going so far this year and financially, and of course everything going on in terms of conducting school in a COVID environment. Ken is working on a speaker for this is September 24th. Then we're going to have a business meeting on October 8th. Right now we're open, so if anybody has any ideas for speakers for October 8th, open to some ideas there. Anybody else have anything? I know we got an art fair coming up at the square, which Dr. Ken is involved in that. the week prior to Fall Fest, and we're not serving beer there. So September 19th from 10 to 4, week prior to Fall Fest, there's going to be an art fair at the Square. We'll mention this again next week, but that's an interesting thing going to go on at the Squares. Anything else anybody like to bring up before we get to our guest speaker? So I do not have a big forum. I mean, people who have been around McGuanago for a while certainly know Chief Stein. It is important for us as a community service organization when we get up and are focused on Rotary, focused on service to the community. Certainly that's what our fire service professionals, our law enforcement professionals, our educators do on a daily basis. Is they're not waking up every morning figuring out how they can sell more things and make more money. They're talking about how they're thinking about how they can serve the people that they are entrusted to serve. So it's good that we continue to acknowledge and recognize those in our community, particularly the fire service and law enforcement as well. So this is a good opportunity to do that. Chief, if you could certainly give us kind of an overview of all that Kevin does, our honoree, and we'll make sure that he gets the award that we have, and certainly he's free to stop by anytime and say a few words at a future meeting that we have. So again, without a long formal bio or anything like that, I'll introduce the chief and let him come up and kind of give us an update and talk about our award recipient.
First of all, thank you for having me. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to nominate somebody. I would ask that Assistant Chief Wagner please come forward. He was the one that brought Kevin's name to my attention to forward to you for consideration for this award. One thing that I can say about Kevin is he's one of our long-time individuals on the department, 18, 19 years at this time now, and I'll let Chief Wagner go into it more, but one of the things that we see being a combination department between full-time, part-time, paid on premise, and part-time, paid on call is longevity of those individuals on the part-time side is maybe 3 years if you're lucky. So when you talk about 18 years or you talk 25 years plus as Chief Wagner has done, that's a considerable amount of time, that's considerable dedication, and the different things and characteristics that he brings to this fire department. So I'll let you talk about that.
Thank you. Kevin stuck out in my mind as one that sometimes we pass over in the sense that they're there doing the job all the time. And they might not be the guy that's there every day doing the job, but they're here in the community doing the job. There's not a lot of us on this department that still live in the community and are part of the McGuanago Fire Department. We have grown. I was put on in '92, and at that point, being 22 years old, I just wanted to run calls, and we were a paid-on-call department. We have grown to the point that we've become a combination department with having a full-time chief and full-time firefighter paramedics. And with people like Kevin and myself that continue to work in or out of the community, live in the community, and help the community that we grow up in and live in, there's really a strong bond there. Or we have a screw loose because we're still doing it in the years that we've been doing it. But it's probably just like you being with the Rotary. There's some of you that have been doing this for a long time. It's a commitment that you've made to an organization to help the better good of your community and your world. Us, same way. With Kevin puts his family first. He puts his church second. He puts fire department probably fourth because work is third. Okay, and it is in that order. That's something I kind of cherish with my own life as well as I share with a lot of our new people that come in, is to make sure that they understand that this is a large commitment to be in the front line of saving lives of the community. But you can't forget about your family. You can't forget about your full-time job because for most of us, this doesn't pay the bills for a full-time job. But it is important to be there for when 911 is called and someone needs to show up. So that is really the reason I put Kevin out there is we have a lot of new young people that are paramedics and may have some good talents and they will make their name in time. Kevin has made his name over a long time
with.
We appreciate your support.
And just to kind of tail onto that too, we all have our different defined core values and things that we have with our organizations. And Kevin really demonstrates that for the new individuals that come in. Honesty, as easy as it is to say, it's very difficult for sometimes people to be honest. And that's one big characteristic. Dependability, as Chief Wagner said, you might not see him all the time, but he's always there when you need him, especially on his conference. The other is, once again, just like you said, his devotion to the church and his family is incredible. And talking to Kevin yesterday, letting him know that he received this award, he tried to make arrangements to be here. He apologizes for not being able to be here. He thinks it's great. He thanks the group as a whole for choosing him as the firefighter EMT of the year. So I wanted to pass that along with you also.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, can you just off the cuff kind of give us an update how things are going in terms of manning and then updates from the fire departments as chief?
So we've had some very interesting things that have taken place. At the end of last year, the joint boards decided that we could use an outside independent consulting company to examine the fire department for its operations, its administration, its staffing, its financial stability, future growth, and those types of things. And then obviously, the big one came along. So then the coronavirus started, and we had to make some adjustments there. And as with anybody else or any community member, the best information that we get is what comes from the CDC. We make adjustments for that, but we still have the same job to do. People aren't getting any less sick than what they were. There's actually more fire activity this year. So we're out in there in doing those things, and we have to make adjustabilities on that. So I asked for the understanding in the beginning. We try to do some apparatus parades for birthdays for children, for the elderly, those types of things, because we haven't been open to be able to do in-station tours or let the kids get on the vehicles or those types of things. So please be understanding. We've had to suspend those things as we try to evaluate what's going on around us, because we've got to take care of our own individuals. Our people are sick, we have a problem, and it's hard for us to get that help to what we need to out there. So please understand that as soon as we're able to do that again, we will. Another announcement is tomorrow, September 11th. We did put a thing on our post and also on the village and PD in town that we will not be hosting our annual remembrance of that. So we just ask that in your minds, please remember 9/11 for whatever it means to you. We hope to bring back that short ceremony and hopefully expand on that in the future next year. The other is we're still in the status of evaluating the open house for fire prevention. We do have backup plan with the school district, depending on what direction they're going to be able to go to in October. Is we're kind of leaning towards a virtual presentation for our fire prevention and safety education for the schools. If we're able to do something for an open house, we'll definitely get that out so that everybody can see it. Obviously, there will be a lot of restrictions involved with that, just as there is with some of the activities that the village and town are doing. Like nobody would be allowed inside the fire station itself. We have the apparatus out, you won't be able to get in it. But we're trying to see where this all goes and with some direction from our medical director to what we can and what would be safe for all of us. Back to the study now. That all kind of tied in there. We did have a joint meeting back in June in the town, or June or July, with the town and village boards. There was 43, I believe, recommendations on there that dealt from all those different categories. They have been broken out by myself and some of the staff to responsibilities of getting those different recommendations accomplished. We will be working with the town and village board on things that we feel they can work on to assist us in getting those all done. Some of the bigger things that were listed in there is updating, reviewing our operational procedures. So that's all an internal thing. We're already in the process of taking care of that. Updating our lesson plans so they meet the state requirements. We're already in the process of doing that. 2021 budget, capital operations is coming up. We're have a meeting this month. We haven't quite scheduled that day yet, but we'll be looking to do some additional things there. One of the other suggestions is that we look for doing moving the fire department organization to the county dispatch center. And just to give you a little background on that is that there are now 4 departments in the county, Waukesha County, that are not part of that dispatch center. They're the city of Waukesha, Wannego, Test Corners, and Elm Grove. So basically the rest of the organizations are already over there. So that is something that we'll be having a discussion with the boards. The other, which is probably the biggest, both operational and financial impacts, is the staffing report that they provided there. If you haven't seen the report, it was recorded for the Zoom meeting, and that report is also on our website. And I believe I had it. If not, send me an email. I'll make sure that you get it. It states that we should have 5 full-time people per shift. Right now, to give you an idea of where we're at, we have 2 full-time people per shift, and we have 2 part-time people per shift. Half the day, and then at nighttime, the paid on call will work with the full-time.
What stated you should have 5?
The
study?
independent study did, yes.
Okay.
Yep, they evaluated the call volumes, the growth, the different services that we provide, and the level of services that we provide. So that is obviously a larger discussion, and a discussion that we need to have, and a hard discussion to have. But it definitely needs to be addressed one way or another, so that we can see what we can.
The study identified that you're undermanned. Sure.
Correct. Yep.
It's a matter of
So
finding.
if you look at it, if they're saying 15, we have 6. We're basically, according to what their recommendation was, 9 individuals. So it's considerable, yes.
I've got a question for Andy. I don't know if all of you know, but Andy is also the director of buildings and grounds for the whole district of the school district of Wannego. In addition to being in the fire department. Back in the day, one of the hats I wore at the high school was running the monthly fire drills and the biannual tornado drills, and then, eventually the armed intruder, coming up with the armed intruder drill, working with the police liaison. So in this COVID environment, I guess, Andy, my question is, how do you work with the school district to run these fire drills, tornado drills, or whatever, where you, so the alarm goes off and everybody, heads for the halls and exits?
Well, this month might be a little bit easier because everybody's wearing a mask, and so, it could be done that way, but it's my understanding that principals, and Rachel could probably jump in on this a little bit too, is principals have kind of gone to more of a modified, like for our younger kindergarten kids and stuff, we set off the alarm so they know what it sounds like and things of that nature. And it could be doing it like as a room dismissal and try to just do a room here, a room there. But we will be doing, through the direction of the state, we will be doing monthly fire drills of some sort. And then we have to do 2 tornado drills a year. And then we also do the intruder that we'll be working on that as well. And some of that has changed even in the last 2 years with the intruder because, people were going in and pulling fire alarms to get people out of the building. So we've had to modify our intruders and how we would activate that or go out because of that. We want to make sure that it's not, or it truly is a fire alarm and not that we're just sending people out to be hurt. So, yeah, we're assessing a lot of things this year that are a little bit different.
Well, the other thing that I want to remind everybody, especially with the ones that have businesses, other retired ones, congratulations again, is please, for fire inspections, we suspended those, the state actually suspended those for a while. We're back in the mode of starting to reinstate those. So some of those are backlogged in our system, so you might see us one day and then see us the next month later. Even though they're supposed to be 6-month inspections, you might see a little bit double up there. If not, don't get frustrated. We're just trying to catch up a little bit too, and some of them we are still evaluating which ones we should be doing and not be doing. So if there's questions, please just contact the fire department or fire inspections. Here, have them over. Yep.
As first responders, you get them quick. Now, the question is, you're all Narcan certified? How do you get these submissions allowed new recruits and new employees? What is the mechanism for getting them certified or free?
Well, actually, Chief Wagner is in charge of the personnel on that training side, so I'll let him speak to that.
Yeah, so when we bring on new people, and I'll say like maybe 3 years ago when we were bringing people on, they were coming to us trained from other departments, or they had a liking for EMS out of high school, and so they went to WCTC and got that on their own. We're kind of finding that we're getting back to where it's more community-based people, which is kind of nice to see more community-based people join the department, but we have to get them trained. So it's sending them to fire school and to EMT school at either WCTC, or we use Gateway because we're also attached to them through Walworth County. So currently we just put on 7 new people in the last 3 months, and in that I have 4 people going to EMT school and 3 people going to fire school. That's a semester-long course. It's going to be 2 days a week and some Saturdays. It's another devotion that they need to do if they're working full-time and then doing that. So I can say this, is that we do a lot for training people, and we try to retain people, and that's part of what that study too. We want to retain people to be working for McWanago, but in the long run, we turn out a lot of educated people to other communities be full-time too. We have people across the state that are working on full-time jobs elsewhere, and I even have a guy that got on with me years ago that's in Las Vegas Fire Department. So, I mean, they move around, and we do our best to keep them here and train them. And we do monthly training too. So I guess I could touch on that, is that we do a monthly fire training, a monthly company training, which is the core group that's on for that day. And then we do a monthly EMS training, as well as a monthly ALS training. So we have ELS, basic life support, and then we have ALS, advanced life support. All our paramedics are advanced life support, so they have a separate 3-hour training a month with our medical director. So there's always something to be learned. We're always doing something to learn.
Did the study uncover any equipment you are short of?
No, actually, the boards have been pretty supportive capital-wise, as in apparatus replacement. We've had some strong success in the last few years with replacement and equipment, and currently we are going to take reception of a pumper tender at the beginning of this year, so that to replace a couple of our older apparatus. So they've been very supportive on that side.
Probably live in my sheltered little area of McWanago, the Narcan. What kind of, do we have any calls out here, or, what is the...
Yeah, so I did something a year ago as a talk for someone, and we're, on average, we're about 1 a month. It could be above and below in a month's time, but if over a year, we're probably about 1 a month on giving it. Now, the police departments are carrying it too, the sheriff's departments are carrying it, so there's times that we're not even administering it, that it's already being administered by the law enforcement. In the schools, we have it in all the schools. I can't say for sure we had to use it at the high school, but that would be my first thought as to where we would use it, but we do have it in all our schools as well. We have DFibs in all our schools, so that's another thing just to touch on. In the community, over time, you start to see more and more places that have DFibs in them, and that's another way of saving a life. And so it's unfortunate that we have these circumstances, but it's reality.
And we're starting to see, probably, at least from my perspective, in the last year and a half, is individuals are carrying their own Narcan. I mean, we'll get on scene and they'll have already administered their own, you know, family member or somebody has already administered their own to the individual. So, yes. Either one.
I'll go ahead. So back to COVID. You reported to us in June how much activity we got going on. COVID, a relative that's a nurse, Warwick County Hospital has 2 active cases in the ventilator. So just curious what you can share with us.
As in how many cases, or
You remember you gave us a report in June at the board, the joint board meeting about active COVID cases. Can you kind of tell us where we're at?
So I can't give you a hard number anymore because we're not notified of that anymore. In the beginning, with the health department would say, hey, you have 1 active case at this address, so that's either town or village. At that time when we had that meeting, I think we were starting to see an increase, so we had maybe 12 to 16 active cases within the town and village of McWanaco. After that, because of the increased testing and everything, we do not have counts of actually what are in our own communities anymore. What I can say is in the beginning, and what we've stepped up on is protecting our own individuals, and we just treat everybody as, when we go to these calls, they get screened by dispatch with a series of screening questions, and then we wear the proper PPE when we go, depending on the type of call. We always have a mask on when we go on a call. We try to limit to 1 or 2 people initially. They can evaluate, and then they can let the other staff know, do they need to change PPE or what type of items they may need to assist with. So we try to limit the number of individuals that are in there. We look at the type of call or how the person is presenting and make the changes in appropriate PPE if we have to. And then we did, one of the things that the school had that we were able to borrow from them was basically an atomizer kind of disinfector gun. So it kind of sprays a real fine mist and then it dries. And so we were able to purchase that through the same place that the school did. And that's how we kind of disinfect things back in the ambulances and everything like that, and throughout the station. So we do that daily.
And if you're looking for numbers, you can always go to the county's website on COVID, and they have the general county's numbers, and that has been changing, obviously, but it won't necessarily tell you what's going on in the county.
Correct. Yeah, you'll see the rates, I think, just looking at today, what the state's at, like 10, 11% for positivity. I mean, those numbers are just numbers. I think the biggest thing to put out there is if you have underlying conditions, definitely take care of yourself. Wash your hands, wear a mask. For all those other ones, once again, social distance, mask, and keep things clean. I mean, that's all we can kind of do to protect ourselves in those types of situations. Another question in the back?
Yeah, I'm going to make it quick. EpiPen. I had the occasion, people are still dying of asthma. People are still dying of insect bites. I got bit by a hornet, and I get bit often if you work outside in the summer. I got bit about a month ago, and my whole arm swelled up this time. And I said, gee, I better look at my first aid kit and see what my EpiPen. Well, it was outdated. I remember it was like 10 years ago. Drugs do expire, and first aid kits need to be upgraded. And it can be life-saving, especially in insect bites. You know, that you should have in your glove compartment or so forth. I mean, the community needs to be educated. If you guys get there first again, you know, that, and you have probably protocol that these things do get outdated. And monitor that.
Yeah, it's always a good thing to check on your home medications to see what the expiration date is. If they are expired, I know that the village police department has a way to dispose of solid pills and things like that. They have their dispenser right in the door there, so you can dispose of them that way. The liquid stuff, you can talk to, you know, like the Walgreens and those types of things, and then maybe they can direct you in that. We as a fire department do not take needles anymore, or syringes and that sort. But yeah, it's always important to make sure that you check the medications and make sure they're the most effective as it's supposed to be.
All right.
Thanks, gentlemen. Appreciate the updates and all the information. Thanks for coming.
And any questions, shoot me an email, give me a call.
Ken, here's my EpiPen. I'm ready to go. Food allergies since I was 40 years old, so I get to carry EpiPen. Okay, we're running a little bit late, but that was a good update. See if I can just talk to you quick after, make sure Kevin gets that. It'd be great to get a picture so I can kind of post it to our Facebook page. Okay, so we're here at the end of the meeting, but before we go, Rotarians, let's stand to say the four-way test as we leave this meeting and go back into the world of life and work of the things that we think, say, and do. Let us remember to ask ourselves first, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? All right, thanks everybody. Have a great weekend. Hope for some sunshine to come back sometime. Thanks everybody online.